Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. Brainstorm is a 1983 American science fiction film that was directed by Douglas Trumbull. It stars Christopher Walken, Natalie Wood, Louise Fletcher, and Cliff Robertson. The storyline goes, brilliant researchers Lillian Reynolds and Michael Brace have developed a system of recording and playing back actual experiences of people. Once the capability of tapping into higher brain functions is added, you can actually jump into someone else's head and play back recordings of what he or she is thinking, feeling, or seeing. The applications of this project quickly spiral out of control, while Michael Brace uses the system to become close again to Karen Brace, his estranged wife, who also works on the project. Others start abusing it for intense sexual experiences and other logical but morally questionable purposes. The government tries to kick Michael and Lillian off the project once the vast military potential of this technology is discovered, and it soon becomes obvious that the government is interested in more than just missile guidance systems. The lab starts producing mind torture recordings and other psychosis-inducing material. Then when one of the researchers dies and tapes the experience of death, Michael is convinced that he must play back this tape to honor the memory of the researcher and also to become enlightened. Once another researcher dies during playback, the tape is locked away, and Michael has to fight against his former colleagues and the government lackeys that now run his lab in order to play back and confront the scariest thing that any of us will ever face, that being death itself. To prepare for the film, the director took most of the key cast and crew to the Salem Institute, an experimental research facility in Northern California, known for its New Age classes and workshops. The director wanted everyone on the project to study the concept of life after death, one of the themes at the center of this movie. The way he wanted them to do it was by taking hallucinogenic drugs, especially one that simulated death under the supervision of the Institute's doctors. However, because this drug was illegal, the plan was completely nixed. The group instead enrolled in what was called rebirthing, a seminar that has everyone lying on the floor, listening to tape, using slow, rhythmical, deep breathing until their muscles contract and they went through an emotional state from hysterical laughter to sobbing, simulating life after death. The director had done one other feature film before this one, that was Silent Running from 1972, but he was really best known as a special effects wizard. He made his mark in Hollywood by creating some of the most memorable special effects that you saw in the late 60s and early 70s, all the way into the early 80s. He did 2001: A Space Odyssey, he did Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and Blade Runner. He had been looking for a chance to direct his second feature film when he heard of the concept for this movie, and he was intrigued by it. He felt like this script offered a lot of opportunity to produce a nice film. Natalie Wood hadn't worked in almost 2 years, and she had gained about 25 pounds in this time before she signed on to do the movie. She went on a crash diet to lose the weight before filming began, but she started to gain it back because she got into drinking alcohol on a regular basis during filming. She got involved in the project because the producer, John Foreman, wanted her in the film. He felt like she was a great actress to play Christopher Walken's estranged wife. Wood was in the midst of a transitional phase in her career, having started out as a child star in Hollywood and later making a successful transition into adult roles. She had been a movie star for over 30 years by the time that this film came her way. She readily agreed to the project, excited at the prospect of being a part of a big-budget Hollywood movie again. Now, there were some conflicting accounts as to whether Christopher Walken and Natalie Wood had had an affair during the filming of the movie. The director really doesn't think that happened, and the reason being that when they shot a love scene between the two, he found that shooting that scene, they showed almost no physical charisma at all between them. There was no rhythm or chorus to it. So it made him believe that in retrospect, the suggestion that there was some sort of love triangle between Natalie, Christopher, and Robert Wagner just probably wasn't true. But really, who knows? Because it gets even more complicated. In November, the cast and crew returned to Hollywood for one more month of filming at MGM to complete the project. Following Thanksgiving, Natalie Wood and Robert Wagner decided to spend the holiday weekend aboard their yacht, the Splendor, and they also invited Wood's co-star, Christopher Walken, along as their guest. On the night of November 28, 1981, Natalie Wood went missing from that yacht that was anchored off the coast of Catalina Island. The following morning, her body was found floating in the water. It was initially ruled an accidental drowning, but there's been a lot of talk that that wasn't all that happened. Her death shocked everybody, and it grabbed the headlines of newspapers for months and even years, generating endless speculation about what really happened on that boat that night. After her death, the film was nearly scuttled. The studio was already in financial problems, and they took her death as an opportunity to terminate the already troubled production. Once she passed away, all the sets were completely locked down, and all the sound stages were frozen. No one could get in or out without special permission, while the negotiations on what to do with the film took place. Finally, almost 2 years after Wood's death, Brainstorm was released in September of 1983. It only opened in a small number of theaters with very little publicity, despite the film being officially listed as Natalie Wood's last movie. Take a look back at this interesting film. It's a different one. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.